Good afternoon. It is February 18th, 2024, and it is the first Sunday of the Lenten season. And our readings today invite us to reflect upon the word covenant. Covenant that God made with Moses, Noah, Abraham, and the covenant God makes with us. St. Peter reminds us that it is through our baptism that we form our covenant with the Father in heaven. But what is covenant really all about for you and me? We begin this Lenten journey, and every year we go through the Lenten journey for a major purpose: to renew that covenant that we have with the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. To take the time to renew our covenant, and in many ways to restore it to its original design, shape, clarity, perfection. You see, you and I are sinners in need of God's mercy and forgiveness. And God forms a covenant with us, but God also provides us with tools and models to help us maintain our covenant. We have the sacrament of baptism, in which we form the covenant. We become God's children. We have the sacrament of reconciliation to wash ourselves clean. We have the Eucharist to feed us, the source and summit of our faith. And we have the marriage covenant. And within the marriage covenant, we find model and example of how you and I are supposed to live out our covenant relationship with the Father in heaven. Within the marriage, when the husband loves the wife and the wife loves the husband, the love that flows and is reciprocated is God made present in the world. In our covenant with God, we are also to make God present in the world. That is our responsibility within the covenant. Within the marriage covenant, and the two shall become one. They need to become like-minded. It's like the older couple where she can finish his sentences and he can finish her sentences, because after so many years together, they think alike. They know exactly what is on the other person's mind. In our covenant with Jesus Christ, the question is, are we of one mind with Christ? Can we finish his sentences? And that becomes the struggle. I need to work on that relationship. And that relationship takes a lot of work. I don't know how many of you have ever had the privilege of polishing silver, but polishing silver is a very tedious task because it takes a lot of work, takes a lot of elbow grease, and it also takes a lot of really close looking, because most silver has all kinds of filigree in it, and that black that's in the little cracks is a real pain to get out. But that's part of you and I getting that stuff out of our lives. Jesus was in the wilderness. He was tempted, right? Well, how often are we tempted? And one of those little temptations in our lives that just hang around and hang around and hang around never seem to depart from us. Those things are there for us to clean up. And like polishing silverware, it takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of attention to detail to clean it up properly. So the marriage covenant helps us to try and understand our covenant with God. We see how husband and wife have to make sacrifices and how they have to learn how to surrender. There's some compromising that takes place. But within our relationship with God, God is always forgiving, God is always merciful, God is always loving. And how do we work through that? In the marriage relationship, you make sacrifices. Parents make sacrifices for their children all the time. They make sacrifices for each other. What are the sacrifices that you and I are prepared to make for Christ? During the Lenten journey, we're asked to fast, to give alms, to pray. Well, sometimes the praying is the hard part, because I got to give up some time to set aside prayer time. I need to offer alms. Well, maybe instead of having that chocolate bar or that second dessert or that cup of coffee, I can take that money and I can offer it to the poor or some worthy charity for children. In the parish here, we have Holy Childhood. Well, you know what? $100 here in Canada doesn't go very far. $100 in Africa or India goes a lot farther. Sometimes it's not the sum total that we give. So we actually are making sacrifices to give. I go without the coffee. I go without the dessert. And I take the money that is saved and I offer it. Sacrifice. And then there is fasting, to go without. And the same thing there, right? If I cut back on my food intake for the entire 40 days, How much money did I just save? Now, it'd be nice, I can go out, I can buy myself a new sweater, I can buy myself something, or I take that money and I give it to the poor, or I give it to someone where it's going to make a difference in their life. The challenge that we have is to think outside ourselves, kind of like a mom or a dad for their children. During this journey of Lent, we are invited to reflect upon and renew our covenant with God. But to do so, we have to take a long, hard look at that covenant and ask ourselves, what are the areas that need improvement? What are the areas that need to be polished up? What are the areas that need to be renewed? And that journey is within our hands. The covenant journey is an ongoing one. And every year we come around to this Lenten season again because it constantly needs to be renewed. It's kind of, again, like the husband and wife. It's really, really important that a husband and wife, even though they're married, to still go out on date night. It's really, really important that a husband and wife celebrate their anniversaries well and rejoice in their time together and their journey of faith together, as the two shall become one, knit together, in the same way that you and I are called to a covenant with God, and we are called to unite ourselves with God. The final thought I want to offer you is the importance of the Eucharist. It always seems to amaze me how many people can say no to God. Jesus invites us to the table. Jesus invites us to take our seat at the table. Jesus invites us to be fed by Him, body, blood, soul, and divinity. But for some reason, a lot of people seem to miss that. They seem to not want to pay attention to it, or for whatever reason, they don't really understand the importance of the Eucharist in their life. When God offers Himself to us, why would we ever say no? Yes, I realize the homily might be lousy, the music might be terrible, but if that's the reason you're coming to church, you're coming for the wrong reasons. We come to church to give praise and worship to God, to unite ourselves more completely each and every time with Jesus Christ. And we do that primarily through the Eucharist. It's February 18th, 2024. It is the first Sunday of the Lenten season. May God bless you on your journey as you renew and rejoice in the covenant that God has made with you. Have a good day.